What's up, YouTube? So I want to come through and share some information with you guys. Right? I read the National Center for Healthcare Statistics Data Brief number 288, published in October 2017. And the title of this data brief is Prevalence of Obesity Among Adults and Youth, United States, 2015 through 2016. And this data brief was authored by 4 different people: Craig M. Hales, M.D., Margaret D. Carroll, M.S.P.H., Cheryl D. Fryar, M.S.P.H., and Cynthia L. Ogden, Ph.D. And this report provides the most recent national estimates from 2015 through 2016 on obesity prevalence by sex, age, race, and ethnic group. For this particular video, I'm going to concentrate on sex, which is, of course, male and female. The age range we're going to concentrate on is 20 and above, 20 years old and above. And, of course, race and ethnicity. And I just say that because this data brief also includes information on the youth, too. But I'm just going to concentrate on the adults in this video. But before I begin, I just want to define obesity as it relates to this report. So this is how the data brief / report defines obesity. Obesity is defined using cut points of body mass index, BMI. BMI does not measure body fat directly, and the relationship between BMI and body fat varies by sex, age, race, and ethnic origin. Morbidity and mortality risk may vary between different race and ethnic groups at the same BMI. Among some Asian subgroups, risk may begin to increase at a lower BMI compared with other race and ethnic origin groups, although study results have varied. Right. So now I'm going to read off a section of the report that deals with obesity prevalence among adults by race and ethnic origin in 2015 to 2016, and then afterwards I'm going to go through some of my personal talking points. So here we go. The prevalence of obesity was lower among non-Hispanic Asian adults, 12%, compared with all other race and ethnic origin groups. Hispanic, 47%, and non-Hispanic Black, 46.8%, adults had a higher prevalence of obesity than non-Hispanic white adults, 37.9%. The pattern among women was similar to the pattern in the overall adult population. The prevalence of obesity was 38.0% in non-Hispanic white females, 54.8% in non-Hispanic Black females, 14.8% in non-Hispanic Asian females, and 50.6% in Hispanic females. Among men, the prevalence of obesity was lower in non-Hispanic Asian men, 10%, compared with non-Hispanic white men, 37.9%. Non-Hispanic Black men, 36.9%, and Hispanic men, 43.1%. Non-Hispanic Black men had a lower prevalence of obesity than Hispanic men, but there was no significant difference between non-Hispanic Black men and non-Hispanic white men's prevalence of obesity. All right, so that was from the article. Now I want to get into some of my talking points, okay? I'm thinking perhaps, biology and genetics could play a factor in this. Also, look at the chart. Notice that Black men and Black women have the largest difference in obesity rates out of all racial and ethnic groups. Notice that. Black men are at 36.9%, while Black women are at 54.8%. That's a large margin of difference there. Also notice that Black men, and white women have the smallest differences in obesity rates. They're more or less all on par with each other. That's interesting to note. Also notice Asian men have the lowest obesity rate among all sex, racial, and ethnic groups. So they have the lowest obesity rates of all. Hispanic men have the highest obesity rate among men. So among the men, Hispanic men take the cake. When it comes to Black women have the highest obesity rate among all sex, racial, and ethnic groups. So Black women, non-Hispanic Black women, have, like, out of all the groups, have the highest prevalence of obesity. And I think that there could possibly be some socio-cultural factors that could help explain the high rates of obesity for Black and Hispanic women as well. Perhaps coming from cultures where curvy women are celebrated and encouraged, that could play a factor. Eat that cornbread, right? Nobody want a bone but a dog, right? The sisters got to have something to twerk with, right? Also, health and fitness perhaps not being emphasized for Black women as much, as well as maybe Hispanic women as well. Not being a strong emphasis on health and fitness, as well not having access to healthcare or quality healthcare are a concern for healthcare at all, really. And I think partially it could just come from being in situations where you're perhaps are really like stressed out, working poor, perhaps a single mother or divorced mother. Also perhaps feeling like you don't have the time or money for proper health care too. That could play a factor. Also, being unaware of what is considered healthy lifestyle. I don't think some people even truly know what a healthy lifestyle is. And honestly, I think this is across the board. Also, another factor that could play a role, Black women not wanting to mess up their hair while exercising. I think this could low-key be a factor too. Perhaps not a major factor, but, a little bit of a factor. On the other hand, when it comes to Black men, I think the Black community emphasizes sports and athleticism for young Black boys, which tends to continue into adulthood. As well, perhaps these men also feel like they need to live up to their stereotypes, that they see portrayed in the media. Like, the very big athletic Black men are, the Mandingo sex god stereotype. Because notice, oftentimes when you see Black men in the media, they are portrayed a certain way. But despite lower rates of obesity, Black men still suffer from health problems and have a below average life expectancy rate. So even though they perhaps aren't as obese as Black women, the life expectancy rate is lower than Black women. So Black women may be obese, but they still living their life though, living their life longer than Black men on average, of course. Next, I want to talk about the data sources and methods used to obtain the data. So data from 9 2-year cycles of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Surveys, NHANES, between the years 1999 and 2016 were used for these analyses. Data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Surveys 2015 to 2016 were used to test differences between subgroups. This 2-year NHANES survey cycle provides the most recent estimates of obesity. However, the precision of the estimated prevalence of obesity and the ability to detect differences in the prevalence when a difference does exist are lower than when estimates are based on 4 years of data because of smaller sample sizes. In testing for trends in obesity, statistically independent contrasts were used within the 9 two-year cycles. And just to give a little background about the National Health and Nutrition Examination Surveys. It's a cross-sectional survey designed to monitor the health and nutritional status of civilian, non-institutionalized U.S. population. So the U.S. population that is not a part of the military and the U.S. population that is not in jail or in prison. The survey consists of interviews conducted at participants' homes and standardized physical examinations, including measured height and weight in mobile examination centers. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Surveys sample is selected through a complex, multi-stage probability design. Starting in 2011, non-Hispanic Black, non-Hispanic Asian, and Hispanic persons, among other groups, were oversampled to obtain reliable estimates for these population subgroups. Race and Hispanic origin specific estimates reflect individuals reporting only one race. Those reporting more than one race are included in the total but are not reported separately. And also, pregnant females were excluded from these analyses. So there you have it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.